What is up, party people? All right. It is Wednesday. Happy hump day. It is the 1st of September. If you can believe it or not, Derrick Evans here, VA Home Loan Specialist, NMLS 155010. Call or text me or email. Email me if you want to buy or refi. We'll get you hooked up. I've got some stuff to show you today. Man, I got some stuff to show you today. I'll tell you, mbshighway.com is worth every stinking cent. Whatever my company pays for that. It is worth it. These guys, Dan and Barry Abebe, are just so good. They're so good. And today they've given us even more stuff to chew on. I'm going to show you, kind of piggybacking off what we discussed yesterday. And we looked at, okay, hey, have home values gone up too much too quickly? And remember this graph here? I guess I better show it to you, huh? Remember this guy? Where is it new? Probably should have had this ready, yeah? So remember this one from yesterday? CaseShiller National Home Price Index rose the most that it's ever risen, or at least since 1987, when it's like widely adopted and stuff. And so what people are looking at is they're looking at the price movement. The price movement. And if you just look at the price of a home, then it sort of gives you a certain sense of unaffordability. And what's really interesting about the reality behind this, let's put this aside for just a second. This is the data, and this is where Dan Abebe, which is Barry's son, he ran some data on going back to 2006, so pre-crash, all right, what was the average home price? How much appreciation has taken place since then? They calculated that at 41%. So if the average home price in 2006 was about $300,000, the average home price in 2021 is about $423,000. We know what interest rates were back then. They were 6%. Today, more like 3%. And this is very rough stuff, right? But it's just to give you conceptual idea. Monthly payment, $1,800 back then, $1,783 today. So also, average household income has increased by 55% since then. So back then you were paying more and making less. Now you're paying less and making more. So I think what we have to do when we really look at, let's see if I have this out of the way. My head's not in the way. Cool. When we really look at what does affordability mean, at the end of the day, the vast majority of people are buying a home and financing it and making a payment. So the question isn't really, is the price of the home affordable? The question is the payment on the home affordable? Now, there are a lot of cash buyers out there, don't get me wrong. But, if people are buying real estate for cash, they're okay. All right. We don't really need to talk that. They're probably not, getting advice from anyone anyway. So they've got tons of cash. Good for them. But for the rest of us regular folks, when we look to buy a home, the payment's what matters. The payment is what we are signing up for. That's the obligation we're signing up for. How much is the monthly payment? And does that work for us? So when you really break down the numbers in the most simplistic form, even if he's wrong here a little bit, you can see it's similar. The payment's similar. So even with prices up 41% in that 15-year time horizon, which you could also argue that, they're up more than that. But remember, this is pre-crash. So 2006 pre-crash, which is what I think is great about this data, because people are comparing now to back then. Here's the big data point. This is the big aha, and I want you to take this and tell everyone you know this. Here versus here, we have 2.5. Is that a 2? Is that a 2? 2 point. These computers kill me, guys. It's seriously the death of me is technology. 2.5 million less homes available for sale than there were in 2006. So 15 years later, you want to think about what's happened in the last 15 years. How many more new people are there on the planet? This is countrywide, United States countrywide data. 2.5 million less homes 15 years later. That's a big number. So that explains some of these things, okay? This is just, because the economy has obviously done really well since the crash. I mean, we've seen stock market straight up, job market's been good, a lot of people flush with cash, real estate's been great. Interest rates have gone down. Okay. And that is obviously a big deal too. So interest rates going down, interest rates being what they are, makes the homes similarly affordable, even though you may say, you know what, I remember when someone bought that house for $550,000, in the early 2000s. That's true. And it may be worth $800,000 today or more. But what is the payment the new buyer is going to be paying on it? And how does that differ from what the original person? Well, a couple things. Taxes are included, right? Taxes and insurance are usually included in people's mortgage payments. So this right here is just principal and interest. These two payments are just principal and interest. So we got to think about taxes. But the higher price is going to create higher taxes. So you're going to see a slightly higher price there. But the question is this really unaffordable if we've seen a 55% increase in income and we've not really seen anywhere near that kind of increase in payment? Are we more affordable now or less affordable now than we were right before the crash? That's the question. Is our homes more affordable now or less affordable now? Well, for a lot of people who go, well, but down payment. So that house that was $500,000, that's now $1 million. Well, that one, technically, if we're using this example, that house that was $500,000, that's now $700,000. My 5% down went from $25,000 to $35,000. So it takes me another $10,000 in down payment in order to be able to get into that home. Closing costs should be relatively similar, although they'll be a little higher too. So cost me an extra $10,000. So Derrick, it's more expensive because even though the payments may be similar, they're going to be a little bit higher, but it takes me another $10,000 to get into it. Well, in the meantime, depends on what you've done, but in the last 15 years, if you did nothing, but just keep your money in the stock market, even if you didn't put any money in, just keep it in there, you made that and then some. You did great. If you owned any other property, you did great on it. Basically, if you invested in anything, any cryptocurrency, even Dogecoin back then, you crushed it. Dogecoin is garbage, by the way. Just a precursor, anyone asking me about that. So is it really unaffordable now? Or is it more affordable? Is it less affordable now than it was before the crash or more affordable? The only logical answer is that it's actually more affordable now than it was before the crash, which I know it seems crazy, but if you actually run the numbers, which you have to do, it's just a simple fact. So I encourage you to take this information, share it with your friends, help make them smarter than everyone else. And we're going to talk about a couple things here. There's two things here, and then we'll kind of review the market a little bit. I'll show you mortgage bonds and all that. A couple things. First of all, the data has been coming out on this, and this is really, really important. The data has been coming out on the Social Security not being able to pay full benefits by 2034. The numbers that I'm hearing are actually much sooner than that. So like for people like you and me, hey, I'm not going to be looking to get Social Security for another 25 or 30 years. Well, as of right now, there won't be any money. They'll be so negative by then, it's not even funny. So Congress has to come up with a fix. What are they going to do? There's just an excuse for them to print more money and put money into it. I don't think they're going to screw this up, but this is an important thing to keep in mind. People, millennials, Generation Xers, I don't know what they're calling the new generation, Y, whatever. Hey, we're paying into this thing. We're expecting to get paid back later, but don't you dare put your financial security in someone else's hands. If you get that check one day, great. But don't you dare put it in someone else's hands, especially the government. You cannot trust the government to do a damn thing. Okay? So especially take care of you. Go ask someone who lives in a country where that's the way it is. What's the saying in Canada? Don't get sick after July? Something like that. I have some Canadian friends on here. Tell us, what is the saying in Canada, in Canada? What's the saying in Canada about getting sick with the government healthcare? Anyway, so don't rely on the government. Remember, buy your home, own your home when you retire. Own your home. That's number one. Own your home. Then you're going to have options. Even if Social Security doesn't kick in, you can go work at the movie theater, be a greeter at Walmart, whatever. You're going to be okay. But don't count on Social Security, team. The math just doesn't add up. It's a Ponzi scheme. Everyone who knows how to do that kind of math understands that. Can the government just print money and fix it? Yes, they can. Will they probably do that? Yeah, they probably will. Yeah, they probably will. But eventually, they are going to devalue the dollar so much that it may not even make any difference. Your $1,000 a month in Social Security might not be worth a thing. Your $1,000 a month in Social Security might be worth one sat, one Satoshi, 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin. Anyway, all right. Here, this is an opinion piece, supply chain delays. For people who've been hearing about supply chain delays and just kind of like brushing it off, like, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Who cares? They're just some jargon. It's real. There's stuff that's being, sort of choked out in South China Sea. There's ports that are having issues. There's huge demand for certain things, certain types of chips, computer chips. There's so much stuff, and it's delaying everything. It's actually causing more issues with housing. A lot of new home builders are unable to fulfill the completion dates for new construction. In fact, I have a buyer who's buying one. It was supposed to be finished in August. Now they're telling him December. Why? Supply chain issues. They can't get regular stuff, simple stuff. They can't get it. It's like the whole world economy is just being choked off. But what happens is this perpetuates inflation further, because what causes inflation is when you have a lot of money, and in a circumstance, there's a lot of money in the room, and then the demand goes up. So people will pay crazy prices because I've got tons of money. Hey, I've got $5 million in my wallet. Oh, we'll give you $500,000 for that loaf of bread because we need it, have to have it. So when people and companies have to buy stuff in order to fulfill their business obligations, contracts, etc., like with a new home builder, I've got someone in contract. I've written the contract very much in my favor, but I've got someone who wants to buy this house. Can't string them along forever. No way I could hold up any consequences against them if it takes me 2 years to build the house when I said it'd be done in 8 months, right? The same thing is going on with all kinds of different companies, including Tesla, saying that they're having issues too. In fact, they delayed the Roadster. Did I put that article up? I didn't, did I? They delayed delivery of the new Roadster. They've pushed back, said, no, we're not going to be able to get it done here because of supply chain issues. So continue to expect inflationary circumstances as a result of this issue with supply chain delays. Meanwhile, market's pretty flat today. NASDAQ did get a new record close, though, 15,309 in the NASDAQ. How crazy is that? One day the NASDAQ will be greater than the Dow. That, I believe, is going to happen for sure. 10-year, under 130. So rates kind of hanging in there. Oil still in the high 60s. Gold just over 1,800. Bitcoin, a little move higher today, 48.5. I think it touched 49 at one point. And Ethereum up 10%. Remember yesterday we were talking about something's going on with Ethereum? There's big buyers in there. That's all I know. Big freaking buyers in there. And you know what? So the alternative to Ethereum is Cardano, ADA, which is one that I'm heavily invested. I'm heavily invested in both of them. I think both of them have tremendous staying power and have great utility. And Cardano is now up to $2.85. So this is one I've been getting in since it was cents. And now it's up to $2.85, which is awesome. That is freaking amazing. So that one is also running up. So the practical use, high demand cryptos like Ethereum and Cardano seem to be doing really well here. Bitcoin not doing as well, sort of lagging behind. If you look at this here, you'll see Ethereum doing better, XRP doing better, Litecoin doing better, Bitcoin Cash lagging a little. I don't know why anyone looks at Bitcoin Cash anyway, but Bitcoin doing really well. Let's take a look at mortgage bonds. What's going to happen with mortgage rates here? What can we expect? Well, today we got a lock alert because there was, we had a positive day going. We're all the way up to here, and then it plummeted down to here, and Barry issued the lock alert. I disagreed with it. At the time, I still disagree with it. I don't think that was the right call, but you know what? He was being conservative because we've got some moving averages here that are problematic, and we dip below both of them again, and it kind of has like a bearish feel to it. Like this looks like the beginning of something not so pretty. And so I look at it from a little bit more optimistic viewpoint. I look at it from a viewpoint of, okay, well, let's think about what's happening here. Let's think about the action we've seen. The Fed said they're going to taper. and we went sideways. I don't know if there could be anything more bullish for bonds. And I don't know why, but we've got this going right here. Okay, so I'm going to look at it. I'm going to be very optimistic with you about mortgage bonds here for a second. We've got this trend line right here. We've got this reverse head and shoulders with the higher right side shoulder, okay, and a nice wick on it. I'm kind of thinking tomorrow we're going to see some upward movement. Let's see if I'm right. But to me, this looks more like a bullish setup. I like, the idea that, hey, maybe we could see something good happen with bonds. That said, if you're in a purchase transaction, I want to make this very clear. If you're in a purchase transaction, you lock right here because the risk reward doesn't make sense short term. So what I'm talking about right now is the long-term trend of expecting rates to stay low and maybe even go a little lower. But if you're in a tight transaction, like a purchase transaction, we have like 7 or 8 days to lock and float a loan, pull the trigger here, go ahead and lock it. But that's been the same for the last 3 days. That had nothing different that has nothing to do with the action today. That's just, when you're amidst all of these moving averages, but particularly when the 200-day is just right above your head, it's going to be hard for you to get a lot of upside. You're going to need tremendous momentum to get through that, and usually just takes a lot of time. So your upside is very limited here, and your downside is significant. So when that's the case, you always lock, especially in a purchase. When you're refinancing, you can make other decisions. You can play the game. You can wait. You can do some stuff. But for this particular situation, if you're purchasing, I will up. Even though I do think maybe we could get some upside. Maybe this will turn and move higher. Maybe we will go up and at least touch the 200 for the first time. We're probably going to have to touch the 200 3 or 4 or 5 times before we can get through it. So maybe we just go up there and get a touch tomorrow. That would be a win. Even if we only closed up 6 or 7 basis points, going up and touching that thing would be good. So hopefully that is what we will see. But you never know. So we'll just have to wait. All right. Let's see. Anything else here we want to talk about? Drop your comments, share this video. And always, if you need me, if you have specific questions, shoot me a text, shoot me a call, shoot me an email. Here to help. Not just give you my opinions on this stuff, but here to help you save money when you buy or when you refi. Everybody have a great day, and I'll be in touch soon.